What's going on YouTube? Here are my 10 must-have fantasy football players for this upcoming season. If you guys like this content, please follow, like, subscribe, comment, anything you may have. This channel is for all the people. Any fantasy questions, anything fantasy related you have, put it in the comment section. I'll get to it. I'll answer it. Let's get into it though. Bucky Irving, who ESPN has ranked as the 41st player in fantasy. Bucky was an absolute monster his rookie year. He averaged 5.4 yards per carry and was an absolute PFF darling. I know last year was rough. He averaged 3.4 yards per carry and missed 7 games, but there's so much of the story behind his bad outing last year. So in 2024, the Bucs offensive line was one of the best run blocking groups in all of football, and in 2025, it was just downright awful. Wirfs, Goedeke, Bredson, and Mock all missed significant time. The intended starting 5 last year never even played a single snap together. And the unit ranked 30th in run blocking rate according to ESPN. Irving lost 1.24 yards before contact per carry compared to his rookie year. That's a drastic difference, and now Sharp has this healthy offensive line ranked as the 4th best entering this season. We know from his rookie year when this guy's clicking, he is a borderline elite, if not elite running back. In 2024, he led the NFL in missed tackle rate and averaged 5.3 yards per carry between the tackles, which was second amongst all running backs. And PFF also had him as the only running back with a 90-plus rushing grade and receiving grade. That profile does not just all of a sudden vanish at the age of 23. It got buried under a broken line and a bad shoulder. And lastly, Tampa Bay is now bringing in Zach Robinson, who will be worlds better than Josh Grizzard. Robinson was with ATL last year and fed Bijan through the air and said he sees Irving in a very similar light, and I quote, to Bijan in the passing game. Also, for the cherry on top, Rachaad White left, taking his 40% share of carries inside the 5 with him. Irving barely sniffed the goal line last year. That's going to change this year. Brock Bowers, who ESPN has ranked as the 24th player overall in fantasy this year. This guy obviously started off the year hot with 103 yards against New England in the opener and then sustained a PCL injury and a bone bruise, which clearly hampered him for the next 3 games. And then after that, he got shut down for the next 3 games. But when he came back last year, he had 7 touchdowns in 8 games and still didn't really look like himself. And then the Raiders eventually shut him down. But this guy, in my opinion, is the best fantasy football tight end in the league and probably the best tight end in all of football in general. He was a monster his rookie year with 112 catches for almost 1,200 yards and 5 touchdowns, and I think he has a real chance to exceed that this next season. The Raiders have no real weapons at the receiver position, and Brock's going to be the focal point in a Kubiak offense where we just saw JSN as the clear number 1 put up an all-time season and get a crazy target share, which I think Brock Bowers is going to get in this Kubiak offense. And if Kirk Cousins does start the year for Vegas this year, no problem. Kirk Cousins loves to target tight ends. Look what he did with Kyle Pitts last year when he was playing. You can get this guy at the later 2nd round, early 3rd, which I think is a major steal this year, and I think will give you the advantage at the tight end spot in every matchup you have. I really think a year from now, Brock Bowers is going to enter that conversation of being like a late 1st, maybe early 2nd tight end that you can get for a round or 2 discount right now because of the slump last year and the injury problems. Our 3rd name up is Malik Nabers, who ESPN has ranked as the 42nd player. Obviously, the concern with Malik is the injury risk, and if he wasn't hurt, he'd be going probably late 1st, but I think he's well worth the risk in the late 3rd, early 4th round this year. It's also worth to note that this offense is going to be a run-first team after ranking 5th in yards per game last year while also getting Scatabo back. But this guy was nothing short of elite his rookie season, setting a giant single-season franchise record for catches. Nabers had 1,204 yards despite missing 2 games his rookie season, and he also put up those numbers with crap quarterback play being Danny Dimes, Tommy DeVito, and Drew Lock. Though in the fact that New York's leading target share receiver Wan'Dale Robinson's out of town, and there's no really competition at wide receiver for Malik. Now, there is obviously concern here, but if you can get a legit league-winning player in the 4th round, I'm taking that flyer all day because if he's playing and right, there's a high probability this guy's one of the best players in all of fantasy. It's worth the risk. You aren't going to lose your league even if he doesn't hit for you because of where his current ADP is. All right, our 4th name up here, Jadarian Price, who ESPN has ranked as the 61st best player. With K9 out of town now and Charbonnet dealing with a major knee injury, Price is going to have a very clear path to being the man in Seattle. Seattle took him in the 1st round for a reason, and this guy's extremely talented and possesses elite explosiveness, speed, and tackle-breaking ability. If Price played another school in college, his numbers would have been even better, but he was stuck behind Love and still went in the 1st round. I think that shows us how clearly high Seattle is on him, considering they let their Super Bowl MVP walk and brought in no one else. This team ran the ball at the 3rd highest rate in the NFL last year, and I know Kubiak is gone now, but their new OC, Brian Fleury, is going to run the same outside zone offense that running backs thrive in. Really, the biggest concern is his hands. He didn't log many receptions in college, but he did show he has soft hands when given the opportunity. Our next name up is Parker Washington, who ESPN has ranked as the 76th best player. Over his final 4 games last season, including the playoffs, he posted a massive 28.9% target share, averaging 113.4 yards per game and 3.78 yards per route run. Those are elite numbers. I know there's a logjam at receiver in Jacksonville, but this guy the second half of the year was clearly the man in this offense, and I don't expect that to change. He operates heavily out of the slot, a position that T-Law favors heavily. He recorded a 79.3 overall PFF grade, ranking 18th among all wide receivers. It's not like this guy was just good because of volume, and without Etienne now, we could probably expect even more quick dump-off passes if the run game can't get it going. Now, I will say he doesn't have wide receiver 1 upside because of so many mouths to feed in this offense, but I believe at the very least he's a good flex play with legit potential to be a high-end wide receiver 2 that you can get in the later rounds. Wan'Dale Robinson's our next man up, who's ranked 88th according to ESPN. Wan'Dale saw his best season as a pro last year and now got paid a bag to join Tennessee and reunite with his old buddy Brian Daboll, and should be the security blanket for Cam Ward going into year 2. Most people just view him as a short yardage guy, but he expanded his route tree last year and saw an increased average depth of target. If you are in PPR, he probably won't be as valuable, but in PPR formats, he has a really good chance at being near the top of the league in targets and has an extremely high floor with not much competition either at wide receiver. I know they drafted Cardinal Tate, who may be a better play, especially in the second half of the year, but Wan'Dale is going to be a surefire, nice flex play that you can get for pennies on the dollar. Next man up is Jordan Addison, who ESPN has ranked as the 92nd player. Jordan obviously had a rough year last year as the Minnesota Vikings had probably the worst quarterback play in the NFL with J.J. McCarthy. I really think the addition of Kyler Murray is going to do wonders for this entire offense, and we've now seen when Addison has competent QB play, he's a fantasy wide receiver too. In his 2 NFL seasons with decent quarterback play, he finishes the wide receiver 22 and 24. He will obviously be behind Jettas in the target share, but he will be the number 2 guy in a KOC offense. TJ Hawkinson is a shell of himself at this point, and I'm not worried about Jennings either, who they brought in with free agency. Addison is more of a boomer bust type of fantasy play, but he remains one of the better splash wide receivers in all of football and has a nose for the end zone. In my mind, he's a boomer bust wide receiver too that you can probably get near the double-digit rounds, and throw in the fact if anything were to happen to Jettas, this guy's stock would go to the moon. Number 8 on our list is RJ Harvey, who ESPN has ranked as the 107th player. Harvey is obviously more of a receiving back, and J.K. Dobbins will get more of the early down rushing work, but do not sleep at all on Harvey in PPR formats. Sean Payton obviously loves feeding his backs in the screen game, and this is the guy for that. He's an elite pass-catching back and averaged 3 receptions per game his rookie year, and he also had 12 touchdowns last year, is going to see the valuable touches for this backfield. I know he was inefficient as a runner last year between the tackles, but his floor is so high because of his receiving work in a Sean Payton offense. If he can improve as a runner just a little bit, he legit has RB1 upside. J.K. Dobbins could go down at any minute, and if that happens, RJ will be the guy. I know they brought in Jonah Coleman, but if anything, he is going to just eat into J.K.'s workload. Getting an RB with this high of a floor and a good offense with even more potential in the hundreds is crazy value to me. 9th man up is Blake Corum, who ESPN has ranked as the 121st player. Corum, for starters, is the best handcuff in all of fantasy football. If anything were to happen to Kyren Williams, he's an RB1. There's enough value in that alone for his current ADP. He averaged 5.1 yards per carry last year and was an analytics darling with his explosive run rate and efficiency metrics. Simply put, he was the more explosive back last year over Kyren, and in the second half of the year, we really saw him start to eat into Kyren's workload, and I honestly think this backfield is going to be damn near a 50-50 split moving forward. The knock on Blake is his receiving work, and that's what will guarantee Kyren's usage on the field, as he is a great pass blocker. But this Rams offense should be the best in the league, and even if Kyren stays healthy, I think Corum can still provide flex value with even more potential to take over this backfield if he continues being a better runner, and then obviously league-winning upside if Kyren were to go down. Our last man up here in the biggest sleeper, Chig Okonkwo, who ESPN has ranked as 217th. Washington has absolutely nothing in the receiving game after Terry, who's been injury-prone recently, and Chig will immediately step in as the number 2 in this offense. Chig is an explosive field-stretching tight end over the middle of the field, and he has consistently ranked very well in YAC for his career, giving him a legit ceiling in this offense with Jaden Daniels, who loves to target his tight ends. I really think he's going to immediately be a borderline tight end one with his talent, opportunity, and role in this offense that you can pretty much get for free in your draft. And if anything were to happen to Terry, there is a world where Chig is the number one passing option for Jaden Daniels. We see random tight ends break out every year in fantasy, and Chig very well may be that guy. He should have a high floor here and a crazy potential ceiling if Terry were to get hurt. Those are my 10 must-have guys in fantasy this year. If you guys like this content, comment, like, subscribe, and drop any questions you have. Thank you.